Once in the camp of Israel there lived a man named Zelophehad. He belonged to the tribe of Manasseh, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Zelophehad had no sons, only 5 daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. He was a good and honorable man, but one day he fell ill and died. The daughters mourned their father deeply. In those days, only sons could inherit land from their fathers, so the sisters worried about what would happen to their father's name and his land. They felt lost and unsure, but they loved their father and knew they had to do something. Mahlah, the eldest, gathered her sisters and said,
"We cannot let our father's name disappear. We have no brothers, but we are still his children. We should ask for his land."
The sisters agreed, but they were scared. In their culture, it was rare for women to speak up in matters like this. But Mahlah reminded them,
"God is just, and he listens to the cries of his people. Let us trust in him."
The sisters knew it would not be easy, but they decided to take their case to Moses, the leader of Israel, and to the elders who helped govern the people. The day came when the 5 sisters stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of Israel at the tent of meeting. Their hearts pounded with fear, but their faith gave them courage. Mahlah spoke up, her voice steady.
"Our father died in the wilderness, but he was not part of Korah's rebellion against the Lord. He left no sons, only us, his daughters. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives."
The people gasped. No one had ever heard such a request before. The leaders murmured among themselves, unsure of what to do. Moses listened carefully to the sisters. He saw their sincerity and courage. He knew this was an important matter, so he decided to bring their case before God. Moses went into the tent of meeting and prayed to the Lord. He said,
"O Lord, what should we do about the daughters of Zelophehad?"
Then God spoke to Moses in a clear voice.
"The daughters of Zelophehad are right. Give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives and pass on their father's inheritance to them. And tell the people this law. If a man dies and leaves no son, then his inheritance should go to his daughter."
When Moses returned to the people, he declared the words of the Lord.
"God has spoken. The daughters of Zelophehad are right. They shall receive their father's inheritance. And from now on, if a man has no son, his daughters shall inherit his property."
The people were amazed. God had listened to the voices of 5 women and had changed the law for the whole nation of Israel. The sisters were filled with joy and gratitude. They knew that their father's name would not be forgotten, and their faith had been rewarded. But their story did not end there. Some leaders from the tribe of Manasseh, the tribe of the daughters, came forward with a concern. They spoke to Moses and said,
"If these daughters marry men from other tribes, the land that belongs to our tribe will go to other tribes. This will disrupt the inheritance of our people."
The leaders feared that the new law might create confusion in the future. Moses knew this was a serious concern. So once again, he sought the Lord's guidance. God answered Moses, saying,
"The daughters of Zelophehad may marry anyone they wish, but they must marry within their father's tribe. This way, the land will not move from one tribe to another."
Moses gathered the people and shared God's command.
"The daughters can marry whom they choose, but they must marry within the tribe of Manasseh."
The daughters listened carefully. They understood that God's wisdom was protecting the unity and fairness of Israel's inheritance. The 5 sisters honored God's command. Each of them married a man from their own tribe, the tribe of Manasseh. They were happy because they had kept their family's land and honored both their father and the Lord. Their story spread throughout the camp. People began to see them not only as brave women, but as women who respected God's will. The sisters became symbols of faith, courage, and obedience. Years later, when Joshua led the Israelites into the Promised Land, it was time to divide the land among the tribes. The daughters of Zelophehad came forward once more. They reminded Joshua of God's promise through Moses. Joshua remembered God's command and honored it. He gave them their father's share among their relatives. The 5 sisters looked upon the land, knowing it was theirs by God's decree. They were filled with joy and pride, knowing that their father's name would live on. The story of Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah was remembered for generations. They had shown that God listens to the cries of those who seek justice and fairness. Their courage had changed the laws of a nation, proving that faith in God can bring about change even in the hardest of situations. Their names were written in the records of Israel, and their legacy lived on as a reminder that anyone, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, can make a difference when they trust in God. In modern day, the land associated with Zelophehad and his daughters is located in the region of ancient Canaan, which corresponds to parts of modern-day Israel and Jordan. And so the daughters of Zelophehad became known not just for their courage, but for their unwavering faith and trust in God. Kindly let us know in the comments section how this story has inspired you and what other Bible stories would you like to see animated. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.